Hi, I'm Paris, and earlier this year I planted 3 raised bed gardens in my yard. I've got a metal, a wood, and a composite. So it's time to do an update now and see how things are growing in each of them and how they're holding up to the weather. Here is my steel raised bed garden with a couple planters next to it. This started out as a birthday gift idea for my wife. I planted tulip bulbs in it back right after I put it in, I think in January. And then we had a weather surprise. I'll show you a clip about that. Hi, I'm Paris, and you may know me from such videos as I'm going to build a raised bed tulip bulb garden back in January. Things got a little dicey here about the tulips coming up, and for the last week here it has not gotten above freezing. By the way, the coldest was one night, it was 5 degrees Fahrenheit. And presto magico, it's the middle of March and we have tulips. They didn't all come up at once like I was expecting as a surprise birthday field of tulips, but it's been nice. A few come up every day and it's lasting longer this way. And after the tulips had done their thing, I decided I would plant flowers all through it and having some nice blossoms. I imagined it more being covered in flowers all at once, but they come in on their own schedule and they look nice for a while, and then some other flowers come in to replace them. So I think it's working out pretty well. Now I've got onions planted in each corner here, just as I planted them in back, all at about the same time. So today I'm going to dig them up and see how they turned out. This is the second raised bed garden I put in. It's made out of untreated cedar planks, and they're looking pretty weathered, even though I planted this in, April, and now it's just the middle of July. Also, not a whole lot growing in here. I did plant a lot of onions in this one. But in the lower bed, I've had issues with, as you can see, this vegetation is largely purple sweet potato plants that I put in last year, and they have come back. They apparently love growing here, which is fine. Love the purple sweet potatoes. The problem is that they keep coming up through, especially this one, which is I think only about 5.5 inches or 6 inches deep. They come right up from the ground below. They somehow sense that they can get through those additional inches of soil, come up, and then they've sort of taken this over, and I pull them out and then they come back in. I can see some more little ones pushing through right now. So that has been an issue with the not so deep raised bed garden. I'm going to pull up these onions here in a minute and let you see what they look like and compare them to the ones from out front. Lastly, here is my composite raised bed garden. The idea here was to have flowers along that side because that faces the house, so from the window we can see the flowers, and then to have vegetables on this side. I've got a couple of them coming in, but I don't see my onion. Is this what's left of my onion? Yeah, somebody's been nibbling on these. Now this is also, the soil's only about 5 inches deep, so I've had issues with the sweet potato plants coming up through it. But other than the dirt splashed up onto the panels from the side from the rain, it's really looking in pretty good shape. I mean, I would guess this has been out in the weather for a couple months, whereas my cedar one, oh my gosh, does it look old for only being out in the weather 2 weeks longer. The untreated wood is definitely showing how fast it can age. And the metal raised bed garden out front is looking pretty good considering the severe winter it went through. I just see on the bottom there's some plastic sheeting that was on the outside of these panels. It was hard to take off. I thought, well, I'll just leave it on, it'll peel off eventually, but it is keeping the metal looking in pretty good shape. My onion in the corner should be ready for digging up, so let's do that and take a look at it. Well, this is what I was expecting, and this is what I got. This was that first one I was working on. I thought, well, that's pretty disappointing, so I pulled up another one. Yeah, something just went wrong with growing them, but let me check the onions in back. Well, it looks like I had a number of onion plants chewed up, but this one is still in good shape, so let me dig this one out. This is in the cedar, untreated cedar raised bed garden. Let's see what this onion looks like. Am I pulling them up too soon? They've had time to grow. Was it the weather? Was it the insects, the animals? I think I'm going to just stick it back in the ground. How about this chewed up one? It was tasty enough for something else to eat. No. Disappointing as well. So maybe it's best not to focus on the onions because the problems with those could have been the soil, could have been me, Could have been the creatures nibbling on them. So let me just sum up my thoughts on the 3 types of raised bed gardens. The untreated cedar planks. I chose untreated because I knew I was going to plant vegetables and I didn't want any chemicals leaching into the soil, but just looking at the condition of the wood and how fast it's weathering, man, is this even going to last another year? And as for the deeper or shallower raised bed garden, much prefer the deeper, easier to work on. You can pull a stool up and you hardly have to bend over to work on it. With the shorter one, you're still bending over and hunching over to be able to reach down into the soil. So much prefer the deeper ones. Also, it makes it less likely that something's going to grow up from below, something you didn't plant, and come into your garden. The composite raised bed garden looks pretty good now, though I'm wondering, with it being basically like plastic, if this is going to get brittle being out in the sun and the heat. Well, time will tell on that, and I will do an update video in another year or so. But definitely go with a deeper one. This 5 inches of soil in it is barely enough for the roots of the plants in the garden to work with. But my favorite for now has to be the steel raised bed garden, both the fact that it looks like it's going to last forever and that it is so deep, so it's so easy to work on it. However, it was easy for somebody else. Since I started this video yesterday, I came back today, all the flowers are missing. They've all been chewed off of these plants. So some nighttime camera work is going to be in order to find out who's been doing that. And when I find out, I'll be sure and let you know on the next review.
There are so many choices and you don't want to stress. You want your health food at home, receiving only the best. That's what we're here for, we give honest reviews. parristx.